Directions. Read this story, then answer questions 22 through 28. An Uncomfortable Bed by Guy de Maupassant. One autumn I went to spend the hunting season with some friends in a chateau in Picardy. My friends were fond of practical jokes. I do not care to know people who are not. When I arrived, they gave me a princely reception, which at once awakened suspicion in my mind. They fired off rifles, embraced me, made much of me, as if they expected to have great fun at my expense. I said to myself, "Look out, old ferret, they have something in store for you." During the dinner, the mirth was excessive, exaggerated, in fact. I thought, here are people who have more than their share of amusement, and apparently without reason. They must have planned some good joke. Assuredly, I am to be the victim of the joke. Attention. During the entire evening, everyone laughed in an exaggerated fashion. I sensed a practical joke in the air, as a dog scents game. But what was it? I was watchful, restless. I did not let a word or a meaning or a gesture escape me. Everyone seemed to me an object of suspicion, and I even looked distrustfully at the faces of the servants. The hour struck for retiring, and the whole household came to escort me to my room. Why? They called to me, "Good night." I entered the apartment, shut the door, and remained standing, without moving a single step, holding the wax candle in my hand. I heard laughter and whispering in the corridor. Without doubt they were spying on me. I cast a glance around the walls, the furniture, the ceilings, the hangings, the floor. I saw nothing to justify suspicion. I heard persons moving about outside the door. I had no doubt they were looking through the keyhole. An idea came into my head. My candle may suddenly go out and leave me in darkness. Chateau, a large house in France. Then I went across to the mantelpiece and lighted all the wax candles that were on it. After that, I cast another glance around me without discovering anything. I advanced some short steps, carefully examining the apartment. Nothing. I inspected every article, one after the other. Still nothing. I went over to the window. The shutters, large wooden shutters, were open. I shut them with great care and then drew the curtains, enormous velvet curtains, and placed a chair in front of them, so as to have nothing to fear from outside. Then I cautiously sat down. The armchair was solid. I did not venture to get into the bed. However, the night was advancing, and I ended by coming to the conclusion that I was foolish. If they were spying on me as I supposed, they must, while waiting for the success of the joke they had been preparing for me, have been laughing immoderately at my terror. So I made up my mind to go to bed. But the bed was particularly suspicious looking. I pulled the curtains. They seemed to be secure. All the same, there was danger. I was going perhaps to receive a cold shower both from overhead, or perhaps the moment I stretched myself out, to find myself sinking to the floor with my mattress. I searched in my memory for all the practical jokes of which I ever had experience, and I did not want to be caught. Ah, certainly not, certainly not. Then I suddenly bethought myself of a precaution which I considered ensured safety. I caught hold of the side of the mattress gingerly, and very slowly drew it toward me. It came away, followed by the sheet and the rest of the bedcloths. I dragged all the objects into the very middle of the room, facing the entrance door. I made my bed over again as best I could at some distance from the suspected bedstead and the corner which had filled me with such anxiety. Then I extinguished all the candles, and groping my way, I slipped under the bedcloths. For at least an hour I remained awake, starting at the slightest sound. Everything seemed quiet in the chateau. I fell asleep. I must have been in a dead sleep for a long time, but all of a sudden I was awakened with the start by the fall of a heavy body tumbling right on top of my own. And at the same time I received on my face, on my neck, and on my chest a burning liquid which made me utter a howl of pain, and a dreadful noise as if a sideboard laden with plates and dishes had fallen down almost deafened me. I was smothered beneath the weight that was crushing me and preventing me from moving. I stretched out my hand to find out what was the nature of the object. I felt a face, a nose, and whiskers. Then with all my strength I launched out a blow at his face, but I immediately received a hail of cuffings which made me jump straight out of the soaked sheets and rush in my nightshirt into the corridor, the door of which I found open. Oh heavens, it was broad daylight. The noise brought my friends hurrying into my apartment, and we found sprawling over my improvised bed the dismayed valet, who, while bringing me my morning cup of tea, had tripped over this obstacle in the middle of the floor and fallen on my stomach, spilling my breakfast over my face in spite of himself. The precautions I had taken in closing the shutters and going to sleep in the middle of the room had only brought about the practical joke I had been trying to avoid. Oh, how they all laughed that day. Valet, a manservant. Read these sentences from paragraph 3. My friends were fond of practical jokes. I do not care to know people who are not. These statements impact the story by explaining A, why the narrator laughed so hard at dinner, B, the narrator's presence at dinner, C, the narrator's reason for suspicion, D, why the guest embraced him. 23. What does the phrase "as a dog scents game" in line 14 of the story suggest about the narrator's actions? A, he is enjoying the laughter of the other guests. B, he feels on the verge of finding this prankster. C, he feels left out of the dinner conversation. D, he is alert to some hidden plan. Number 24. Read lines 14 and 15 of the story. I did not let a word or a meaning or a gesture escape me. This sentence suggests that the narrator, A, feels anxious about his current situation, B, is highly critical of his friends' interactions, C, feels defenseless against the coming events, D, is too distracted to join his friend's conversation. Number 25. How do lines 25 through 33 build suspense? A, they suggest that someone is looking in the window. B, they extend the narrator's search for deceit. C, they indicate unusual details about the room. D, they reveal the narrator's fear of the dark. Number 26. Which words reveal the irony of the narrator's situation? A, I thought, here are people who have more than their share of amusement, and apparently without reason. They must have planned some good joke. Lines 9 through 11. B, the hour struck for retiring, and the whole household came to escort me to my room. Line 17. C, however, the night was advancing, and I ended by coming to the conclusion that I was foolish. Lines 35 and 36. D, the precautions I had taken in closing the shutters and going to sleep in the middle of the room had only brought about the practical joke I had been trying to avoid. Lines 68 and 69. Number 27. What effect does the point of view of the story have on the reader? A, the point of view increases suspense by limiting the reader to the narrator's understanding of events. B, the point of view creates humor by showing how the narrator's friends misunderstand him. C, the point of view raises the reader's sympathy for the questions the narrator faces. D, the point of view adds to the reader's mistrust of what the narrator reports. Number 28. Which detail best expresses a theme of the story? A, one autumn I went to spend the hunting season with some friends. Line 1. B, assuredly I am to be the victim. Line 11. C, I heard persons moving about outside my door. Line 23. D, for at least another hour I remained awake, starting at the slightest sound. Line 51.